Well, I've kind of been overdue for a vacuum servicing and repair video, so I thought I'd make one. Today we have a Sebo, very abused Sebo. Got to replace the wand. Something's broken on it. Filters, service, unclog, all that sort of typical stuff. So, guess we'll get started here. First thing I have to do is go put some gloves on. I wear these gloves partly because the cleaner I use requires, it's not friendly to skin. Plus, ever since my hands used to get really dry in the winter, crack on the knuckles and bleed and everything. And since I've been wearing these when I work on vacuums, it's saved my skin a lot. I have either, I don't know if it's psoriasis or eczema or a little bit of both, something. It's no good. So I wear gloves. Rubber gloves specifically. And it's not really to protect my hands so much as it is to protect my hands mostly from just dirt, moisture, stealing things. Anyway, for those who don't know how to take a Sebo apart or how they come apart, first thing you do to get the handle, the first thing you want to do is take the handle. Let's remove the hose. Oh my. Ooh. And we had a bit of a clog coming out there, didn't we? Alright, now you can see this and reach it easier. Older ones have a thing you flip up here, and the G1 also has that. Older design. Attachments. I'm also going to move that thing up a little because they creep down a bit. It just gets... Mostly because they get loose. Alright, we're gonna set this thing. We're just gonna set it in the trash. Mistaken for trash, not that it will. Oop. Okay. Bumped the screen here and thought maybe I stopped it from recording. What kind of... Excuse me. How about that? I'll probably edit that stuff out. Push this. You saw the button. This is the way I do it. I push the button here, grab the handle or the body up there, take the bag out. It's filtered, and this one smells funky too. Cute. Good thing we're servicing it. And make sure we're in the shot and still recording, of course. Pull this off. This is my favorite part about the Sebo. One of my favorite parts. Got a little different thing to prop it up there. What do we have? Oop. It's apart. For those who haven't seen inside a Sebo, this one has the automatic height adjustment, being an automatic X4. This here is a little spring-loaded thing. They call it the sensor, even though technically the actual sensor is on the board here. It's a hall sensor. You have your magnet here. We've got magnets on this side. I think there's just one each. This gray wheel is attached to the drive going to the brush, and the yellow is connected to the motor. Basically, this is how the height adjustment works. It knows the position of these magnets, and it reads that, and it kind of, as there's a little bit of I guess resistance on the brush, it'll sort of slow down and kind of it'll you can see that it'll do that kind of a thing, and then the sensor picks it up, and because it's supposed to have it's supposed to be little off, it's supposed to have a little bit of tension on it. Too much and it raises it. If it goes all the way down, no resistance, it lowers it. So that's how that works. Pretty ingenious. It works by the resistance of the brush roll. It's also how it knows when your brush roll's worn out or jammed. If it's worn out, it just never, regardless of how low you put it to the floor, or it puts it to the floor, it doesn't touch and create enough resistance. So it bottoms out on the stepper motor on the wheel, and then it still says, well, it must be a bad brush. This is how the brush brush roll connects. This and this front piece are replaceable, so as the nozzle wears out you can replace the actual shoes. It's a very good design. Now it's time to wash everything. Well, now it's all washed and cleaned and out here, ready to dry. Drying. You can see it's all clean now. Well, we didn't watch parts dry because that would be just as bad as watching paint dry. But they're here, they're dry, and they're clean. So, it is time to put the vacuum back together. Let's get my little spot back up here where I can set this. Alright, now we're good. I believe we get a good view of everything. First thing we do, this little springy button for the end cap for the brush roll removal. Well, sounds like the Russians are going to be going after these terrorists. Alright, now we put the screws in here. Another thing I really like about Sebo is they put these little metal, brass or bronze inserts into the screw bosses, so you're not just screwing the threads right into plastic. There's actually a metal piece that the screw goes into. Because on a plastic, when it screws into plastic like that, you can only take the screw in and out so many times before that plastic just kind of wears out. It doesn't hold the screw anymore. Whereas metal doesn't have that problem. To me, that just shows that these were made to be taken apart and put back together an infinite number of times for servicing, cleaning, repairs. They were designed to be repaired and kept, not used and then... Ha! I didn't even screw these now. Whoa! That's what I get for talking while I'm working. Batteries. Well, maybe not. Yeah, it's just that. Alright. These are bushing sleeve bearings. The only thing to ever lubricate a centered bronze, which means centered bronze means they grind up bronze, probably scrap metal, not even fresh metal. They have to grind it up first, and then they put it in a mold and they compress it at a very high pressure. And it creates a porous bronze. The reason they have to make it porous is because the oil then absorbs into it, and that is how the oil, that's how they get a constant film of oil between the bushing and, in this case, the brush roll shaft. Because the metal should never actually touch. There should always be a thin film of oil on the surface. And it feeds that oil through the porous metal. A lot of people say put grease on them, put graphite on them, put all sorts of things on them. The only thing that should ever be used is non-detergent oil. Just plain sewing machine oil, 3-in-1 non-detergent oil. because the detergents kind of eat at that brass. And putting anything other than putting grease in there doesn't work. It just kind of makes a mess. Graphite's the same. It doesn't. You have to have that thin film of oil there. All right. There we are. Now I gotta go grab some filters. One of these. That's gonna be a moment before we're ready for it though. We gotta put the housing on. No. We'll go ahead and put this in. Well, this one also is probably. I'm going to take this hood back off due to its condition. Heavy use. I would almost guarantee I'm going to need to adjust the adjust the full bag sensor. So we gotta put this back on. We're gonna need a bag. Alright, so you want to always make sure you have, when you do this, fresh bag, fresh filters, no clogs. Oh, can you blow out that hose for this thing before I, because it was clogged up. Yeah, the hose was clogged. I take this brush out of there, it just pops straight out. Clean it. Oh, something stuck down in there too. Not too surprising. Well, as we saw when we took the hose and wand off, a big glob of stuff fell right out of the machine, so not too surprised. Alright, now there are some special tools for this. Not sewing machine accessories. That's, well, there's two different types. As you can see, one of them has a few more holes. and the other. This is for the older, the X1s, and this is basically the ones that use the 6 amp Lamb motor. Newer ones like this guy use a Domel motor and this cap. Because the other ones used, they didn't have as much, they had slightly less airflow. Also the hole there is smaller. They were slightly less powerful, so to calibrate it properly for the exact amount of power the motor puts out, you have to have the right cap. You also want, we have 2 of these. I just use the one that's in there because I have it out. This is for adjusting this potentiometer, which is what adjusts the bag sensor. This, just while we're waiting for the hose, I'll explain what this is. We're not using it. This is a testing device. You would hook up the power supply board there to that, or to that one, and then you would hook the stepper motor for the adjustment here. And this lets you test the power supply and the stepper motor so that you can help diagnose whether it's this board, or the motor, or the main motor. Also tests the functionality of the handle upright. It's a little magnetic. That's the switch. There we are. That's the handle upright switch. It's a little, I call it a magnetic reed switch, and here is the little magnet that actuates it. It's a little more reliable than the standard micro switch with the push button thing on it, because dirt cannot get in the little sealed glass capsule. Alright, hose is ready. Of course, you must plug your machine in first. Plugging it into our tester. Now, what you do, put that on the end of your hose. And you see that the light is lit up. It only light up when you cover this with your phone. So, didn't get to it quick enough. I think I was going the wrong way. Alright, now that you got it to turn off, you put your thumb over it. Let it go. Try it again. plugged in. That's what you want. And that's how you do this. Alright, well, I guess that kind of concludes the video. Well, I decided I might as well demonstrate since I have the camera out. Easy test. I'm going to demonstrate the easy test. All right.